I took just long enough between setting up my music and checking everything was online that I actually started on the dot 6 o'clock instead of, you know, a minute or two before like I normally attempt to strive for. But that's okay, because at the end of the day, starting early doesn't mean on time for everybody. All right, today's goals were originally set to just be widget stuff, but I woke up this morning and before I went to work, I realized that the whole appeal of the game that I strove to remake is not in the game. I also realized that the enemies are still not hostile. In fact, we haven't tested the enemies since we fixed the boat movement model sliding. So, to say we have our work cut out for us and we only have a few days left would be accurate. So we're going to set up some of this stuff best we can anyway. So I say let's start with getting a main menu going, because I don't want to have to crunch on that as we're reaching the end of the project here. So, and also main menus are just very simple to set up. Well, the functionality anyway. Making it look appealing is a different story that we'll figure out later. So let's start with a main menu. And we're going to keep this relatively simple. So let's get some buttons going up here. Let's set this to be anchored to the left. And sure, let's go there and just bring it out to about 75. And then we'll increase the button size to be 300 by 100. Then we just need to get some text. And we'll call this just play game. Or how about start game? Ah, stop! I'm hitting all the wrong buttons. Okay, so let's give this the style that we have been going with here. Size 5 outlines. I don't remember if I added 2x2 shadows anywhere else. Because I'm working on multiple game projects. Game projects? Sure, we'll call them game. Well, it's multiple Unreal projects, if I'm being honest, at the same time. So I'm starting to forget what I use where. Which is a problem. I probably should just sit down and finish one, or at least live stream myself finishing one. At least for the one I'm allowed to live stream. But it's fine. We will work it out. In the interim, though, we have stuff to do. And I realized I did this in the most backwards way possible when I could just do this. Okay, so position X is 75. That was at -275, so what about -150? That's a little close. Let's go -50. Yeah, I actually like that. Okay. This will be the options button. If I can type straight. Options. Oh, because this is Unreal 4, we need to actually make sure that our text is not hit testable. I recently found out that Unreal 5 actually sets these to be not hit testable by default. Or at the very least, text doesn't function as a button the same way it does in Unreal Engine 4.27, which is really cool. I'm glad I'm taking the time to learn Unreal Engine 5, because some of the convenience features that they've added with the engine upgrade have been like super nice, super nice. It's just a matter of, man, I wish it ran on my computer, my desktop proper, because that's the only thing keeping me from using it more. Because I don't like programming on my laptop that much, if I'm being honest. Negative 275 to negative 50, that's about a 210 difference. No, 215. No, I'm so bad at math. It's 225 difference. Okay. I'm bad at math, so we're gonna get ourselves our calculator and just do negative 50 plus 225. Cool. I mean, that was pretty close anyway. Okay, this will be our quit game button. Let's be consistent in our spelling here. What is going on here? Okay, whatever. We'll just leave it as quit. Make sure this is not hit testable. Okay, perfect. So we're gonna set up this UI to be a couple different layers, I think. Not necessarily in this one widget, but no. Basically, when we hit start, we want a new panel to come up to say, do you want to start a new game or do you want to load your old game? Options, we'll have some very basic options, but it'd be good to have. And then obviously quit just quits the game, so we don't need to do anything special with that. In fact, we can just do this right now, because all you really need to do in Unreal Engine is on clicked quit game. Probably ideally if we'd have like a are you sure, yes or no kind of thing pop up, but we can design that later if we have the time to justify it. We should also probably have a main menu level for this stuff. But we can, again, set that up later. For now, let's just make sure that these buttons are on the event graph. Just so that way when we're ready, we can just dive right into it. So since I mentioned it was easy, let's just get the yes or no on the quick game stuff set up. I could probably do this without doing another widget, but honestly, it's not a big deal. Quick game. So let's just get a... actually, let's start with a vertical box. Then we'll get a horizontal box. Actually, no, let's just get text. Text. And then we'll just say, are you sure? Make sure we have our size 5 outline and 2x2 shadows. And then we also want to, oops, oh my god, okay. We also want to make sure that we anchor this vertical box to the center of the screen, set the coordinates 0, 0, just so see. And then we'll space this out as we see more of what we are working on here. So are you sure? Get a horizontal box. And then in the horizontal box, we're going to want 2 buttons. One button here. This will be the yes button. We're going to need some text on that. And that text will say yes. Make sure we got our 5-point outline, 2x2 shadows. Grab another button. This will be our no. And then we can just kind of copy and paste, whoops, copy and paste that text. That way we don't have to work on the settings and just say no. Now these buttons, I would ideally like them to be a little bigger as well. We which it doesn't look like we really get control over when they're in a horizontal box, but we can certainly add some padding just to give them some breathing room by just expanding the vertical box and seeing if we can do something with that. We'll center that. We'll also center this horizontal box, and then for the buttons we will fill and fill. Let's get some padding in here. Let's add some more padding to the top. Let's give it give the horizontal box the top padding. Let's give it 10. 20. 20 is good. Okay, so now for the yes and no size. Can we do 5? Ooh, okay. Do 5 on this as well. And then 10, 50, 100. Okay. Make this auto as well. God, they're just not coming out the way I'm hoping they would for some reason. Scale, here we go. Oh god, no, we do not want scale. And then we're gonna want something in the background to make this kind of pop better, so let's just get an image. We'll anchor it center. And then let's move the vertical box to be centered first. And then we'll put this image here like this. The vertical box, let's make it 320 by 160. Do the same thing with the image, make it 320 by 160. Should be a way to just throw this in the back. Maybe just drag the vertical box underneath like this. Yeah, there we go. Then let's give this text some padding on top. Let's give it 15. Yeah, there we go. And then for the image, we'll make it... Let's try and be fancy with this. I don't know how fancy we can get with this, but we can get a little bit fancy with this. We'll put another image on top like that, right? Keep this main image white. We need to anchor this in the center. Let's grab those coordinates. So negative 157 by negative 68. There we go. And what we're going to do is we're going to drag it out like this, right? So 315 by 78 should be good. We're going to color it black and just see. Yeah, that gives it a new look. It would give it a better look if I could actually size it up correctly. Yeah, there we go. All right, now let's give these buttons a little more polish. I say that, not that I know how I want to do that, but I guess we can add some functionality real quick. So on clicked, we want to actually quit the game. So quit game. And then on no, I guess we should also make sure this text is not hit testable. And then on no, we want to just remove the widget from parent. And now we can get rid of this. Go to create widget. Add to viewport. And then can we set this as focusable? Set the focus to this widget for the owning user. And then we can probably, oh right, quit game. And then we can just add something really small just to test this real quick. Maybe up here? No. Because what's gonna happen, excuse me, is we're gonna hit play, and because our character controller is a more gameplay-centric one, we won't be able to pull up our mouse. So we need to set something up for that instead. So let's just duplicate this and call it the menu level. Copy this, call it menu controller. Make sure set show mouse cursor is set to true. Oh, you know what? Set show mouse cursor is true on the... I forgot. Okay. Let's open the menu level, and we'll just set this up real quick. Just the world override, that's all we need. We're gonna need a new menu mode as well, I'm realizing. Blueprint class, game mode base, we'll call it menu mode. And in here, we don't really need to do anything crazy. We just need it to exist, so that way we don't have any conflicting functionality. Let's go ahead and save all. And then we just need a really basic character for the player to possess. We'll call it menu character. And all we really need to do to set this up is just get rid of the character movement component. Or we should at least disable it by doing that. Menu mode. Set it to be menu character. And set the player controller to be the O controller. Let's just test this real quick. And you can see, well, I don't know if you can hear because I've got an audio gate, but I'm spamming buttons and nothing's happening, which is the intended effect here. So next, all we need to do is hop in here, delete the logic, and just add create widget, get our main menu widget, and then add to viewport, and then we can test the functionality from there. So there's our start game button, you can see it does nothing. There's an options button, you can see it does nothing, and there's a quick game button. When we click, these are now still clickable because, you know, reasons. And then, are you sure? Yes or no. If we hit no, it should just remove the parent. It kind of works. Seems like there's some kind of delay to it if you click on the edge, or maybe just the first time you do it. I'm not sure. But if we hit yes, it should just close the game. It does not support focus. Okay, so this logic here, set focus, is not usable. So maybe what we need to do is nah, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Yeah, I'm sure it's fine. At least we know this works. It does look a little tacky. You can kind of see it here. So I think we'll worry about that later. Just add that to a final day to do, is clean up these widgets to look a little nicer. So let's start working on the options menu next. Widget interface. We'll do an options menu. And we're not going to do anything too crazy here. We're going to start by adding a back button. Whoops. Button first. Get some text. Slap that right on there. This will be our back button. Make sure we got our outline and 2 shadows. Save. We're going to anchor this button to the bottom left of the screen. Put the 75 out, just like the rest. Bring it down to here. And those main menu buttons are 300 by 100, so we'll just be consistent there. 300 by 100. And let's make it negative 150. Yeah, negative 150 looks good there. And then just real quick, I want to add functionality to this because I know I'm probably going to forget and I'd rather not. But on clicked back, we want to create widget, get the main menu, back up and running, add to viewport, and then we want to remove this widget from parent. Cool. So next things we want to do is probably set, game resolution is one thing, but let's just set up a vertical box to get us rolling. This will be anchored in the left. Excuse me. We'll anchor it upper left because it's going to be a list of things, and we want it to go top to bottom. 75 by 75 should be a decent start. And then we'll start with some text. And this text will just basically say full screen. And then we'll add 2 buttons underneath, which actually begins by having a horizontal box. So let's get our first button, if I can spell button correctly. So this one, we'll call it windowed mode. And the next box will be full screen mode. Forgot to check if this is hit testable, which it was. Okay, so because we're doing this, there's one more thing we need to do, which is in the main menu widget, we need to go to the event graph and do event pre-construct. And basically we want the game to launch at the player's default resolution, if possible. So let's get resolution. Get default resolution. Returns the default when no resolution is set. Target is game user settings. Okay, so we need to get game user settings. Get resolution. Get screen resolution. Returns the user setting for game resolution in pixels. Target is game user settings. Okay. Is there a way to just get the user's current screen settings? I forget. It's probably fine. How about get supported? Where did I see that? Resolution. Oh, get desktop resolution. There we go. And then we will, from here, set screen resolution. Now, does this mean that if the user changes their settings, they can't, they have to change it every time if they don't like their default resolution? For now, yes, I do plan on fixing this later, though. I just want this to be here just to start us off. We're gonna need to do a lot of things here, truth be told. Anyway. Windowed mode. Get user game settings. Is it save game? Oh, save settings. There we go. We'll just add this at the end here. Set window mode. Oh, not default. Set window. Window. Oh my god. Full screen? Set full screen mode. Here we go. Windowed. Which means we probably want to add one more button now that I saw the other option. I'll call this just windowed full screen. Okay, we can just copy this logic. Windowed full screen. And then finally full screen. Real quick, jump back in here. The options is already set up, so we just need to create widget. Options menu. Add to viewport. Then remove from parent. And we'll just add this here on quick game as well. That way we don't have to worry about the interaction stuff mixing up. Okay, so if we test this now, this should be windowed mode. This should be windowed full screen, and this should be full screen. And none of it seems to be working, which is great. Oh, you know what? Because I'm saving, but I'm not applying settings. Apply settings. Instead of copying all that, we can actually just do that. Oh, shoot. Okay, let's try that again. The windowed mode. Okay. Windowed full screen. And full screen. That's not quite full, but maybe the game's resolution is lower than my actual screen's resolution. Oh, shoot. Okay, it's not crashing. That's a good sign. Can I... Save settings and apply settings is not working. Okay. Is there a set game user settings? Nope. Okay, let's break all links real quick. If I just apply the settings, like don't even worry about saving it, does this still work? Okay, so the saving is what the issue was. So maybe we should have a apply settings button that saves it later. But at least we know this works. So now all we need to do is just add some text to each of these so the player knows what this is for. So windowed mode. Two by two. Two by two. Oops. There we go. This will be windowed full screen. This will just be full screen. Okay, so now this vertical box needs to be pretty big. These buttons need some padding. Let's just give them the fill option if we can. Oh boy, this is looking pretty rough. Here, we'll do this. And then instead of giving them the fill, we'll give them auto. We'll go to the horizontal box and say align center. Maybe align left. And then we'll just give each of these some padding to the right. So let's give this one 15, 20, 50. 50 works. And actually, let's just, that's not what I meant to do. Is it shift enter? Yes, it is. Cool. Then we just align the text, center. There we go. Maybe we can just drop that and then add full screen mode here. And then I made sure all the text is not hit testable, right? Nope, because I am slow. There we go. Okay, this should serve as a decent baseline to start off with. So let's set up some resolutions. How do I want to do this? Well, let's start with getting some text. Go to the vertical box. And we'll change this text, say, game resolution. Make sure it's got our standard formatting here. Let's see, common. A slider. Sure, let's do that. We'll call this the resolution slider. And then I want to see how this works. So if I dive into here, oh, that's just free flowing. This is probably not what I want to use. That might be better for audio. I know there's some other stuff here. Combo box allows you to display a list of options to the user in a drop-down menu for them to select one. I think that's kind of how I want to do that. Yeah, let's do that. The selected option, we'll make it 1280 by 720 as a default. Is that even displaying? Default options, here we go. That's not showing either. What do you want from me? Oh, it does show. Okay. 1920 by 1080p will be our next resolution. I actually don't know resolutions for 1440p monitors, so let's do that. Common screen resolutions at 2026. Okay, so we got a couple options here. Let's add 3840 by 2160. That's kind of a jump. And then there's also, we'll probably slide these underneath here, but 1366 by 768 and 13, oh, hold on. T5060 by 1440. Yeah, we'll stick with these resolutions. I don't see a real need to go any higher than that. There we go. Is there a way to change the style of the font? Shadow offset? Ah, font. Outline settings. We also want the font color to be different. There we go. Now we got some consistency going. Is there anything else we want to do with this? Not for now. Let's not get too lost in the sauce here. We do need to bind what happens with these, though. I'm pretty sure. So let's just call this resolution options. What does it say? On generate widget. On selection changed. Let's do that. So get game user settings. Set resolution, screen resolution. We want to break. Let's make this easier on ourselves. And by ourselves, I mean me. Let's go to blueprints, get enumeration, resolutions, enum. That way we can do a select on that. Let's get our resolutions list back up here. 720, 1080, okay, so 1, 2. We'll just go 720p, 1080p, which means we should probably drop the 1080 stuff down here. Yeah. So 768. We want to add 1440p. And finally, we want to add 2160p. Cool. Now we can just drag this out and do a switch on resolution enum and link this like so. No? There we go. No, that is not what I meant. Okay, can we just int? There we go. And do select, plug this in. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we want to promote this to a variable. Yeah, we'll call it resolution. Can we not? There we go. Or is it easier to just resolution X, make that an integer, resolution Y. Oh, there we go. That's what I wanted. I don't know why that took me so long to remember, but I don't make options menus very often, I guess. So 1280 by 720. We can drag this up like that. Copy paste. What was the second one? I checked the enum as if it's printed there. 1366 by 768. So 1366 by 768. Route that together. $1920 by 1080p. Get a sip of water. Okay. 1440p is 2560 by 1440. Route that together. And then finally 2160p is 3840. Oh my god, there we go. Apply settings. Alright, we should be able to test this out. That didn't apply. That's concerning. Access none when trying to get call function blueprint, options menu, apply settings. Okay, so this is causing some kind of error. If I leave this as is, does it just do it? I didn't think so. Nope. I guess apply settings is the right call. It's just not working for some reason. Oh, apply resolution settings maybe. Okay, that worked. That did nothing. That did nothing, and that did nothing. Okay, no errors though. Here, let's go windowed mode. Full screen mode, there we go. Something's not quite right. Access none when options menu. Apply settings. So maybe what we need to do is instead of apply settings, get resolution. Set screen resolution. And then apply settings. I'm not 100% sure this is the right way to do things, but no, it's a learning experience every single time, so we roll with it. Ah, yes. I'm not sure that's working the way it should be. And it's saying the apply settings node is what's causing the issue as well. So what if we just take that off? Not seeing much of a difference. So I'm kind of worried that this is not working. What if we slide this up? Just do apply non-resolution settings on here and here. Just test it out. That's windowed mode? Okay. So, windowed mode. I'm not sure that's working, if I'm being honest. Give ourselves some organization favors here. Here's what we'll do. Get resolution. Apply settings. Then we'll get a print string, just so we can see if this is working. And I'm just crazy or something. 1920 by 1080. That says 1920 by 1080 again. That also says 1920 by 1080. Oof. Oof. These resolution settings are not actually applying. (1920 by 1080), 1920 by 1080, 1920 by 1080. What if we add an... Just add a temporary button here. We'll call it apply settings. Get some text on it so we can see it. Unclicked. We will get the resolution. Get game user settings. Set screen resolution. See this new value. Maybe just in case, we'll also promote this to a value. And what we'll do instead of all this magic is just set it like that. This will be windowed mode. This will be windowed full screen mode. And this will be true full screen. Set full screen mode. And set it with this. Then we'll apply settings. Applies all current user settings to the game and saves to permanent storage, optionally checking for command line overrides. We'll try that. So let's say I want to play 1080p full screen. Okay, how about 1440p windowed? Uh, 728 windowed mode. 1080p windowed mode. It's hard to say if this is working out. So let's just print a string. We'll add an append. No. We'll just do two print strings here. Print me these options, please. So windowed 1920 by 1080. 1920 by 1080 windowed. Okay, that's a good start. 1440p windowed full screen. 1440 by windowed full screen, okay. 2160 by full screen. 1920 1080. Okay, so that resolution's not working. Neither is that resolution. And okay. Suddenly none of it's working. So this selection type doesn't seem to be working as I was hoping for. So is there a way to break a string? Make literal. No. Grab this combo box here. On selection changed. It's an enumeration. Can I do a switch on that? Not what I want. I'm not sure what's going on here with this one. We may have to ditch this one and try something different. See what other options we have. I mean, I guess we could also do a button. List that allows up to thousands of items to be displayed. A very important distinction to keep in mind here is item versus entry. The list itself is based on a list of items, but only creates as many entry widgets as can fit on screen. Title view, tree view, miscellaneous, optimization, panel, primitive, special effects, synth, user created, advanced. Nope. I mean, I know how to make the checkbox work. It's just kind of annoying to do it. Why not? We're not really having fun here now anyway, right? So we'll get rid of this button. Get rid of that. And do a checkbox. We'll get some text. Oh shoot, I'm doing this out of order. Hold on. Because we want a horizontal box for this stuff, I'm pretty sure. Now we can grab that checkbox. Then we'll grab some text, put that before it. Uh, 1280 by 720. That is unchecked. God, that's tiny. Can we make that 25 by 25? How about 50 by 50? There we go. God, that looks terrible. There's gotta... We're just gonna do buttons. We're just gonna do buttons. I'm tired of fighting with this. So we'll grab this button here. Change the text to 1280 by 720. .720p. .720p button. So what we'll do is we'll simplify all of this by just dropping this and doing that. And then we can drop that as well. Is it silly? Probably. But is it gonna work? I mean, I hope so, man. I'm already tired of this. 768p. And that was 1366 by 768, right? .1366 by 768. Yeah, okay, cool. Plug that in there. Duplicate that. Make this the 1080p button. 1920 by 1080p. There we go. And let's go ahead and just test this real quick, because I want to make sure this is at least functioning the way I'm hoping it will. So 720p, apply settings. Okay. 768, apply settings. Okay. 1080p, apply settings. Oh my god, it's working. What do you know? Yeah, let's just keep going horizontally. I was thinking about maybe just splitting it into like a group of 5 vertically, but there's not really a good reason to not just go horizontally anyway. So we're just gonna stick with that. 2560 by 1440. See by 1440. What's going on? Okay, I just didn't get any feedback for some reason on that 1440p button. Plug that right in. So I wonder if my monitor can even render that, because I don't think my monitor goes to 1440. Okay, I'm really confused. Maybe the game is running at a higher resolution and I just can't see it. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Well, at least we have an idea that it could be working. If it's not working, it's not a big deal. It's not like this is a commercial Steam release or anything like that. Shoot, I already forgot what the last resolution was. 3840 by 2160. Let's write that down before I forget. 3840 by 2160. So that's going to be 2160p. 2160p. Okay. So our resolutions appear to be working. That's good. Let's start commenting. Whoops. Let's start commenting off these things. So this is the back to main menu system here. line these up a little closer. And this is the full screen modes. These are the set resolution modes. Okay. What other settings can we add here? Excuse me. Let's see. If I just, I don't know, drag out from get game user settings, what do I get? How about post processing quality? 0 to 4, higher is better. Okay, so maybe we can just do that real quick. So let's copy this. Might be best to just anchor this at center at this point. Okay, anyway, paste it. Rename this to post processing. And we'll be a little bit fancy with this. So we'll call this the lower PP button. Oh, shoot. Before we do any of that, actually, I need another horizontal box. Horizontal box down here. Hit the buttons. So we'll call it lower PP button. And then the next one will be the increase PP button. Then we'll just get some text. Put one on top. Just make it an arrow facing inward. And then we want to center it. Copy that, paste it here. We'll make it reverse of the other one. And then finally, we will paste the last text there, put it in between, and we'll make it a, we'll put low just to get us started. And then we're going to bind this. We're going to create a binding. We're going to create a variable, and we're going to call it post processing value. Plug it up there like that. So we need to set this name. We need to name this function something easily findable. Post processing text. I think it's as simple as that, really. Now, to set the post-processing quality, we can, first of all, get rid of this print string. Line these up a little bit. And then we can just drag and drop this here. So now we just need to add functionality to these buttons. To make sure that these are not hit testable, because I keep doing this to myself. Okay. So we're gonna unclicked for the lower button. We're going to get the post-processing value and decrement it. But we're also gonna clamp between 0 and 4. So then if we print string, and let's say our post-processing value starts at 4, well, that's not good. What if we plug it in straight, but then say, there's a way to do this, and I'm just not thinking about it right this second. We can at least check if this is working. There we go. It works. Maybe if we do the clamp after the fact, just do set post-processing value here, and then do clamp 0 to 4, and then post it up. Yeah, there we go. Cool. So we can pretty much copy all of this and do more or less the same thing when we do the increase. But instead of a decrement, we're going to want to do an increment, which is the double plus. One, 2, 3, down to 0. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stuck at 4. Cool. We don't need this or this. Whoops, too much. Just this. Set post processing values. Let's just type in quality and see what we get. Shadow quality. That could be something. Texture quality. Let's do anti-aliasing. That's a good one. And luckily, that doesn't require too much additional work. We've got basically the same stuff set up for the post-processing. There we go. Oh, I set it as a number instead of the text. I don't want this. I want something different. We need an... Oh, we can recycle this to be better. Quality scale. We'll put it at low, medium, high, and ultra. Switch on enumeration. Oops. Quality scale. Do a select node. And set our post-processing value like that. Anti-aliasing value. Medium, high, ultra. And then We want to promote this to a value. Call it pp text. Want to set it to low. Medium. High. And ultra. Cool. So we can take basically all of this. Evidently that's not going to let me do that. But we can start with the text. Go, and then just there we go. Rename this to anti-aliasing. And we should be able to hold on, I think I just got confused. It copied everything. Okay. Lower AA button. Increase AA. Create a binding. Get AA text. AA text. And we can literally just steal all of this right here. Well, not really. Just plug this up real quick. Set. Go. So low, medium, high, ultra. Cool. Now we can copy this, paste it down here, look up our anti-aliasing value. Just like that. And now we just need to get our buttons. Set anti-aliasing. Cool. So we can just test it real quick. Oh, do I have these backwards? I have these backwards. Okay. Lower post processing value. Start at 0. Medium, high, ultra. Oh, why are you like this? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. 3. We'll cap it at 3. There we go. I could probably set up something to do the same thing with the resolutions, but let's hold off for now. Let's add one more text at the top just to say, like, this is the settings menu. Where did that go? Oh, there it is. Negative 850, maybe? Nope. Negative 860. Negative 875 or 70, whatever. Negative 530. Okay, let's settings menu. Make the size 48, just so it stands out. Give it the formatting that we're utilizing throughout this project. Maybe we'll anchor it there. 90 by -1, -2. How about just 0? There we go. We need some buffer here. Let's move this down to about 50. And then this vertical box, we will drop it down like here. So that's -400. There we go. We'll need to make the buttons a different color so that it's easy on the eyes to just kind of like immediately recognize what's interactive instead of going, I see text in white blocks. What does this mean? So raise this up a little bit so we're not interfering too much. Okay, that's all the options I want to work on for right now. So let's start documenting our successes. We created a main menu widget, created a quit game widget, we created options, options widget. Pause menu. We also don't have any functionality for start game yet. So we should probably make a start game widget. Start game. This one will be pretty simple. In fact, we probably can save a lot of time by just duplicating the main menu widget. And then just changing this to new game, load game, and then back. We're gonna, of course, have to switch up some of the functionality, but we can also clean up both of these menus by just having a vertical box that these all line up in. Let's go 300 by 250. And then let's give these some padding. New game, let's give it a bottom of 50. Bottom of 50, that should be good. Negative 135. That looks so small, but I genuinely don't know what to do with the buttons being that way. I mean, hold on. If we just give it the same treatment here, we'll know if it's really that bad or if it's just, it looks that way because I'm looking at it on the editor. So the vertical box is at 300 by 275. Let's call it that. 300 by 275. We gave each button a padding of 50 from the bottom. We anchored the vertical box to the left and set it to negative 135. Yeah, that's pretty rough. How about 150 from the left? 150 from the left. Try again. Okay, that's a little bit better. I think the map is not helping with how ugly this looks, but at least we can see that this is kind of a doable. Start games. We need to add some functionality here. So on start game, does save game exist? We want to look for slot 1. I'm trying to hit the branch button, but it doesn't seem to be working for some reason. So, if true, delete game in slot, and then create save game object using the boat save file. Save game to slot. Slot 1. And if a save game doesn't exist, just do the same thing and skip the delete save game step. Okay, we should rename these buttons before I get confused. New game. Load game. And quit game. And then there's something I want to do, or sorry, this should be the back button. I want to fix this in a second, but first, main menu. That's all we need to do for this. Load game is pretty simple. Just basically do the same thing up here, except instead of deleting the save slot, we want to load game from slot. Slot 1. I think that's all we really need to do. And then open level by name. Map 1, which we also need to do over here. Okay, so the one thing I want to do is, I can't speak for newer games. I haven't really played a newer game that seems to do this, but when you are trying to load a save game, or let's say you're about to start playing the game for the first time, the load game button will be kind of grayed out because it's not available to you. And I kind of love that. So I kind of want to do that as well. So we'll make it an existing button. Draw as a box. We'll gray it out. Yeah, just make it really gray. And all we really need to do is we need to just bind the appearance, which can be done by there's a way to do this. Maybe it's just construction script. Add new function. Call it load game button enabled. Set enabled to false. Does save game exist in slot 1? I accidentally hit my DPI button. So we need a branch. So if it's true, we can set enabled to be true. And if not, we can set enabled to be false. It's just that simple. Which, now that I'm looking at this, can probably just be in the event graph and should be in the event graph, considering functions seem to run every tick. So yeah, let's just let's do that. And instead of event pre-construct, just do event construct. Okay, so let's say, for example, I go into my project files here and I delete my save game. Okay, save has been deleted. The load button should now be disabled. Oh, right, I didn't hook this up correctly. Create widget. Start game widget. Add to viewport. Remove from parent. It should be that simple. So start game. And there it is. It's disabled. So if I click new game, it'll create a save for us. I see the save on my other monitor, so that's a good start. So now if I load it again and hit start game, the load game button is now enabled. Ah, oh, that was easy. Created start game widget. Mix up some water. Okay. What was on our other to-do here? A pause menu. Okay. The pause menu we can probably steal from our start game. Or it might be better to steal from main menu, because main menu actually comes with a options button. And we can replace the start game with the resume game. So let's do that. So let's drop. Whoa. Try that again. So we'll duplicate main menu, call it pause menu. And we're gonna add one more button here. This button will be called main menu. That way the player can, you know, go to the main menu instead of trying to just quit the game and reboot it if that's what they need to do for whatever reason. Main menu. Cool. So now we just need to start adding some functionality here after we rename this to resume. So resume would be very, very simple. Let's do main menu actually, because that's also really easy. Main menu, open level by name. Menu. What was the level called? Menu level, lowercase. Cool. That should be all we need to do. Quit. Yeah, that should be all we need to do. Options, that should be all we need to do. No, it's not, because we need to make sure that when we... Oh man, there are some things we're gonna need to do to make the... Okay, so the issue is when we press no on the quick game menu and back on the options menu, they pull up the main menu, which is not what we want. We want it to pull back the pause menu, if that's what's going on here. So what we're gonna do is we're going to add a variable in both of these called paused. And then we're gonna add some functionality here. So actually, no, might be fine. No, it's not, because in quick game we removed the menu. So let's just create widget. We're gonna need to do this twice. So add to viewport. So this one will be main menu. And then we'll do all this again down here, but this one will be the pause menu. So here, we'll add a branch. We'll change this to main menu. Because if it's the main menu, if main menu is true, it'll load up the main menu widget. And if it's false, it'll pull up the pause menu when it's done. That's all we need to do for quick game. Now we just need to do the same thing in the options menu. There it is. Let's just raise this up. Change this to pause menu. Add a variable here, call it main menu. Get a branch. And then just, whoops, just quietly hook these up. Now, some of you might be wondering, well, what's gonna make this change, right? And it's actually fairly simple. When we generate these menus, we can check this out. And this is the pause menu. So we can cast to the quick game and set main menu to false. And then do the same thing up here. Set main menu to false. Now, this won't necessarily save the value between levels or anything like that. It's more so just to say, hey, when you spawn, you're going to spawn with this value set as such. So now we just need to go back into our main menu and do the same thing here. So yeah, just drag this out, set main menu to true. And then just do it one more time right here. Set main menu to true. So now we can test this. Options, back, takes us to the main menu. Start game, new game. We don't have a pause button, so we can't test the pause menu. Ah! That might help. That might help. Player boat. Do we even have a pause button dedicated? I don't think we do. We have a shoot button, weapon type, weapon type, weapon type, and brakes. Okay, so we do need a pause button. So let's make the pause button. Well, first of all, pause. And then for the player, we'll make it escape. And then for our testing purposes, we'll set it to the letter P. Cool. With that set up, so first of all, options, press back, takes us back to the main menu. Quit, hit no, takes us back to the main menu. Start, new game, hit P. Right, we added the input, but we didn't add the functionality. There's an order to these things, and I just keep forgetting. So event pause. We're going to create the widget first. Get the pause menu. Ooh, actually, we need to remove the HUD from our window as well. So we need to remove all widgets and then add the pause menu. Add to viewport. And then set game paused. True. Then in the pause menu, when we hit pause menu, start game. Resume. There we go. Before we remove this widget from our parent, we want to set game paused to false. So start a new game, pause. Look at that, cleans up. Options, press back, it takes us to the pause menu. Quit, no, takes us back to the pause menu. Resume. We forgot to change this functionality. HUD. No, pause, resume, we're back to normal. Okay, that was a little more of a snake path through the game files than I would have liked, but at least we know this all works. Oh, the main menu button. I don't think I set that up, actually. Yes, I did. It's right there. So if we test that... Yep. Takes us all the way back. Perfect. Options menu. We should probably save our settings as well after we apply them. I don't know if that's going to cause issues or not, but we're going to find out. Let's change some values here. Oh, that's concerning. Okay. Lower is decrement, increase is plus. Oh, you know what? The text is not set to do that, is it? No, it is. Anti-aliasing value 0, 1, 2, 3. What is your problem? Oh, that might be my problem. Yep. Goodness sakes. Okay, at least we know that's working. Okay, so apply and save settings. But is it actually saving? No, it's not. Save the user settings to persistent storage. Automatically happens as part of apply settings. So this should be running. Game user settings. Game user setting. Maybe I need to save these to the actual save game, which will be annoying, but we can certainly set that up real quick. So we can close you, and you, and you. Create a new variable. We'll call it aliasing. There we go. So we need post-processing and anti-aliasing to be those values. Post-processing. Call this full screen. And change this to the byte. Resolution. Resolution. Int point. There we go. Can't parse default value 0. There we go. So now what we can do is let's make a custom event down here. Save user settings. Does save game exist? Under slot 1. Get a branch. If not, do we want to create a save game? Yeah, we do. What we really want to check then up here. Up here? No. So let's go to here. Make sure we set these back to default 0s. Let's add an integer and call it missions completed. Here. Set it to 0, add it to settings, just so we have it there. What we're going to do is, if true, load game slot, slot 1. Just kind of check this out. Cast to boat save. Get missions completed. And then, is it greater than 0? Because if not, because if it is, we'll set it enabled, and if it's not, we'll still disable it. That way, when we create a save game for our user settings, you know, it doesn't take away from that function I really like for some reason. So if false, create save game object from boat save. Cast to boat save. Going to set resolution. We should make sure these have default values in here, because otherwise it's going to get really bad. So 1280 by 720 is our default value there. Full screen mode, we'll set it to windowed by default. Post-processing volume 0 is fine, 0 is fine there. Okay, cool. Drop that there. Set in full screen. Just like that. Set post-processing volume. And finally set anti-aliasing. And then save game to slot. Slot 1. There we go. Save user settings. Load game from slot. Slot 1. Copy. Well, probably just do that. No, we can't. So maybe cast to boat save. And then we gotta do this separately each time, don't we? Yep, okay, well, at least that's easy. There we go. My settings. Is it because we're not loading this at the start of this? Yes, it is. So save user settings. Oh, right, because we need to do reverse here. No. We need to load from the save slot up here. That's what we need to do. So the save game exists. Slot 1. Get a branch off. Load game from slot. Slot 1. Cast to boat save. Get resolution. Plug it up like that. Set full screen mode. Get full screen. Set post-processing value. And then finally, set anti-aliasing. What is your problem? Anti-aliasing value, anti-aliasing value, anti-aliasing value. What is your problem? Am I not loading anti-aliasing correctly? Oh, no, I'm not. I did it backwards again. There we go. Ta-da! Okay. I think I do want to change these to match this, so I know what's active and what's not. So let's do that real quick. And then we don't need these to have padding anymore. Create binding. Get full screen text. Full screen text. Okay, so I wonder if we can convert that to integer somehow. We should also make an enumeration for this. Blueprints, enumeration, full screen enum. 1, 2, 3. So we'll start with windowed. Or actually, hold on. I'm gonna go full screen, windowed, full screen to windowed. We need to do that. Full screen, windowed full screen to windowed. So switch on full screen enum. Get a select node. There we go. Cool. Now we can just set the text. Preferably all caps. I'm slouching at my chair again. Ugh. Full screen. Windowed. Full screen. Now I just need some way to control that, which is actually pretty simple. Basically the same as this, but we need to convert it into this. So grab these. Get in full screen mode. To int. I don't think this is going to work the way I think it's going to work, but we can certainly try. To byte. Let's give it a try. Oh, right, the right button doesn't work yet. I mean, at least it seems to be working the way I want it to, so that's not nothing. Look it up like that. Oh my god, I can't believe this is actually working. I marvel at my ingenuity. Okay, we just need to do this one more time for the resolutions. Okay, so let's set the text here to this. Text here to this. And then uh, 1280 by 720. Create a binding. Get resolution text. Resolution text. We do need a resolution enumeration though. Uh, 1280 by 720. 1360 by 768. 1920 by 1080. I already forgot what the other resolutions were. I did save that somewhere, right? Down here? Yeah, here we go. 2560 by 1440. And then finally 3840 by 2160. Cool. We can close this. We name this to resolution enum. We can probably copy all of this. I do wonder if it'll let us convert this. Yeah, I didn't think so. $1280 by 720. Come on. 1366 by 768. $1920 by 1080. Da, 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 da. 2560 by 1440. And then finally 3840 by 2160. Route these all into that return node there. Break this link. select. Now we need to switch on resolution enum. Select. We're going to call this resolution enum. Plug that in right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And just hook these up. Cool. Now we just got to update the event graph to reflect these changes, which should be fairly straightforward considering we've set up the exact same thing 4 times now. But just grab these, paste that up here. We want to set the resolution enum. We want to clamp it between 0 and 4. And then we will set the resolution enum based on that. Then we just gotta copy all this, paste this down here. Oh shoot, replace this with the increment. Squeeze these up together. There we go. Yep, that works. Nice. And honestly, it makes the UI feel a little cleaner to me, so that's good. Okay, so we knocked out all of these. We still have a couple more things left to do, but I'm gonna have to save that for tomorrow, unfortunately. We're reaching the end of our time here. In fact, I literally just glanced over at the time and I was like, oh shoot, like I gotta go to bed soon. Kind of stuff. So day 7. I can't believe we're 7 days into the game jam and like I still don't have actual core gameplay implemented. I have the boat moving and the boat shooting, and that's as far as that goes. But hey, you know, that stuff wasn't easy. We did 3D modeling for an entire day and a half, so there could be worse things. Let's grab our goals. We'll just copy this stuff here. Copy this stuff right here, because that's primarily what we need to do. I'm also gonna add another one right here. We're probably not gonna get to it tomorrow, but just in case we do, I'd like to start designing original buttons. What else can we do? We need to do a logo and game name somehow. Is there anything else that we could do in Krita that we haven't done yet? I guess we could just kind of play the game. So unique buttons. Do a new game, just kind of feel it out. We definitely want oh, radar and crosshairs. Radar, crosshairs, and weapon inventory. Radar and icons. I'll flesh out the icons as enemy TP boat, enemy battleship, enemy cruiser, incoming projectile, player. We'll keep projectiles off the radar until we know what's going on, so that may not be necessary. Inventory, background image. Let's do active weapon layer and inactive weapon layer. Ooh, and we need a crosshair. Okay. I do want to prioritize this tomorrow because, well, maybe not these two. I want to do this because that's actual gameplay that the player might find interesting from this project. Whereas all this can be polished done on the weekend. But we will figure that out when we get there. In the interim, though, make sure we save everything. That's going to be it for today. So thanks for everyone who tuned in. If you're watching this after the stream, thanks for checking it out. Hope you found some of this interesting or insightful. But yeah, we'll pick this up tomorrow.